tell you every single video that the world is coming to an end tomorrow. Right. This is it. This is the big one. You better do this now.
You have 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah, do this now, or the thing is happening and you are going to be done. And 90% of the population is going to be dead in 2 weeks. Like, I think that's a whole lot of like boy cried wolf kind of thing.
Right.
So, eventually people are going to stop listening to that nonsense. At least I hope they do.
Right.
That's a lot of nonsense going on over there. But
hey, team. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I am stoked to see you. It's the chair, man. It just draws me in. Even Hano doesn't like that.
Gross.
Sitting here with
love is love, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
Love
is love. Don't hate on me.
Hashtag unity.
That's right. Sitting down with Jason and just chewing the fat. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments down below. We're going to talk and ruminate on some isolated SHTF type moments. I think a lot of times we think SHTF is whatever is Mad Max, right?
The extremes.
Yeah, extreme. It's life as we know it now. Flip a switch, Mad Max begins.
Yeah. And
it's societal. It's nationwide. It's worldwide.
Right. Yeah. That's what most people's minds go.
Yeah, to. I think so.
I mean, me too.
Yeah. No.
When I hear SHTF, Mad Max, that's what happens. Yeah.
Who didn't want some guns?
Zombies
their car,
and whatnot. Yeah.
But I think in the realm of probabilities and possibilities, that the singular moments, whether it is a tornado that comes through and rips a town apart and is catastrophic in its own way, that may only be a 48-hour, 72-hour moment of power being down and people are trying to scramble to figure out what life is going to look like after that. It is still a moment that people are enduring, and families are impacted. They're losing loved ones, and
the emotional trauma and stress that comes along with all of that. Yeah,
it's all there, and it's all a little snapshot. And I think how we deal with and prepare for moments like these can help us better understand how to prepare for something bigger. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, exactly. The moments where I've been in a personal SHTF type situation where things are going wrong, and it's very overwhelming. You learn a lot about how you respond to crisis-like situations. Yeah. I can think of several that I've been in where I, like, oh my gosh, like, and it feels like hours are going by, but it's 30 seconds, of chaos. And you can always look back on those situations and evaluate how you responded. You could always like armchair quarterback yourself and be like, if I could have done this and I should have done that. And the same thing with all the, any event that you see on the news or whatever, you're like, oh, the police should have done it this way. This is how I would have done it. And, well, that's a bunch of garbage because you weren't there.
You're not there.
Yeah. Right. And even yourself, like it's hard to, I'm just thinking of, car accidents and stuff like that I've been in where it's like, oh my gosh, stuff is happening fast. I need to respond to this thing. And you fumble with your first aid kit and you're like, oh, I feel like I've trained this stuff. I should do better. Like I'm better than that, but you're not better than that. Yeah. Like everybody is flawed and affected by emotions and the stress of the situation. Yeah. Everyone is, regardless of training.
Indeed. I was thinking, back in the 90s, I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, on the coast. And because of the way, the coast of North Carolina kind of curves around, Jacksonville just gets pummeled with hurricanes. This hurricane came through, and of course the power went out. No big deal. But of course, prior to that, maybe 12 hours prior, everybody was hoarding the gas stations and hoarding on the water and everything else. Like
raiding the bread and milk.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody was thinking about what do I do to prepare for this prior to. And of course, roads get blocked down. Anytime you have a natural event, like there is no evacuation plan that's effective. But our power had gone out, and then after the storm had gone, and it was a decent sized storm. Our power came on for maybe an hour, and then went out again. And what we had found out was that Camp Lejeune we lived on base at the time, had intentionally turned off the power in order to help maybe prevent some weird things happening on their grid.
So the power went out. They switched it off after the power went.
Before.
Before.
They,
okay.
they killed the power.
Gotcha.
I guess it's some sort of preventative measure. And then after the storm was gone, they flipped the switch back on, and then some more down trees or whatever happened, and then we lost power again. We ended up being without power for maybe 10 days or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was a good stretch. I was talking to our pal here who's up in Alaska, talking about old snowstorm here, right? And the impact that had on the community. Because you think about not only dealing with snow, but just not having heat and the longevity of not being able to live life as you normally do.
Right.
That is a huge impact.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we're just used to having electricity and refrigeration and all the things.
Cell phone connectivity.
Yeah,
which you and we're not used to that.
Right. That's right. Yeah, where we live, I live in a hole.
Yeah.
There's 0 cell phone service. Like if my power's out, I'm not calling anybody.
Right.
Yeah, if
I have Wi-Fi calling.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, and if I'm lucky, I can send text messages even right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, if power's out, I got nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So, and if power's out, my well's not working.
Right.
I got to hand pump it.
Yeah.
Which fortunately I have.
Yeah.
But yeah, life changes pretty significantly in a short period of time in the situation with just the power going out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of things can happen.
So it's like, how do you? What are the types of things that could happen? I think becoming injured. Like we spend a lot of times out in the brush. Mm-hmm. Having a physical injury, whether it's a knee or hip, that may even prevent us from getting somewhere and needing assistance to get out from these areas. Well, we don't have service, right?
I mean, I was just up here last week, up on top of the hill behind the house, and I was chainsawing, cutting trees and cutting firewood and stuff up. And I don't have cell phone service up there. Like, I got nothing. Yeah. And if I was to injure myself really badly, I'd be in a bad spot. And I'm right there. Right. Like, I can almost see my house from where I was, a couple hundred yards from the house. So I'd be my own personal SHTF right there if I was to hack my leg with a chainsaw.
Would. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you think about all of the things that could happen that have some sort of catastrophic effect on your life or the life of your loved ones, and you think, okay, so what can I do to generally be prepared, or just I'm going to blindly accept the risk of whatever it is. And I think if we don't do one of those two intentionally, we're really fooling ourselves. Like some things we accept risk on.
Sure.
Right? I don't always carry a tourniquet when I'm doing anything, let alone using running a chainsaw.
You're just accepting the risk that you might need it and not have it.
So I do things safely, right, in order to help mitigate those risks of not having things. But other things, my truck is slammed full with the stuff because I know that if either I get stuck on the side of the road or I find somebody stuck on the side of the road, I can provide some kind of assistance.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Whether it's first aid, navigation, just
pull them out of the ditch.
Yeah, right. Whatever. All that good stuff.
What are your thoughts on this? I've been intrigued by this. I used to listen to a lot of audiobooks about like the post-apocalyptic audiobooks. And I stopped listening to them for the most part because they started making me paranoid. Yeah. Like just depressing me and making me paranoid. But anyway, what are your thoughts on this? That our system is fragile, like our infrastructure is fragile, and it only. I've heard people say things like it only takes 7 guys armed with scope 30-06 rifles to shut down the entire grid across America, and it'll knock us back into the Stone Age. What are your thoughts on that? Reality, complete fiction.
I think that it is a true statement that our infrastructure is very fragile. When I was in Alabama during my break-in service, I came across some information that the state was not doing a very good job of inspecting their dams. Like, almost non-existent inspections.
What could go wrong with that?
What could go wrong? So
it's only like a mountain of water held back.
So not only do you have all the hydropower,
Yeah.
it's going to be impacted, but then obviously the massive flooding. Extremely easy to get in and take advantage of if you were a bad guy. Nuclear plants obviously have a lot of protections, but because of their nature of needing that water, it's also vulnerable. The power grid is extremely vulnerable, and dates back to a long time ago, and there hasn't been a whole lot of changes other than a lot of the power companies and the telecommunications companies have made improvements on protection from EMPs and solar flares
and backup
and things of this
stuff,
nature. But a lot of how the grid is split east to west, there's a lot of vulnerabilities there for sure. But I think ultimately, to your question, if any portion of the power grid went out, I don't think that there's a chance that the powers that be can have something back up and running to critical infrastructure pretty quick.
In a reasonably short period of time. I agree. I think that there's at least some form of backup in most situations. I mean, nationwide, maybe not. Might be if that was to happen nationwide, like some sort of major attack and they took out all the grids everywhere, I think that might be a problem.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But small scale cities, smaller scale, as far as like one major city, metropolis area, I feel like I don't think we're going to go back to the Stone Age immediately. Yes, of course, there's going to be some bad actors that come out and they're going to start, causing some problems, of course. But I just don't foresee in our future, some major terrorist attack knocks out, whether it's an EMP or whatever, knocks out everything in America and it's just black across and we're all digging earthworms and eating them in a stew pot.
Well, and on that note, something that I've chewed on a little bit is if you go back throughout our nation's history and even the world, and even find, think about all the most horrific warfare of the last 150 years. In each and every single instance, you still have some semblance of society happening.
People are still doing things.
You still
got to live.
You got to make bread.
Yep.
You got to farm the things. You got to make the things.
Yep.
You got to have power for all that. You still have law enforcement type thing. It may be hammer fist coming down, but there's still something out there. You still have hospitals that are running.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Every place that I've never been in a war zone, but I've been in some crappy places.
Yeah.
Like some really crappy places, and people are still doing the things. They're still
going. I don't know
going.
if you noticed that, but Jason just touched me.
It's the chair.
It is the chair. I like it.
Just move a little closer. But people are still doing the things. Yeah. They're still going to work. They're still feeding their families. They still got to eat and poop and sleep and do all the things that we normally have to do.
Right.
I think I'm a more glass half full kind of guy than a lot of people that do what we do.
Right.
A lot of people that do what we do are going to tell you every single video that the world is coming to an end tomorrow. Right. This is it. This is the big one. You better do this now.
You have 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah, do this now, or the thing is happening and you are going to be done. And 90% of the population is going to be dead in 2 weeks. Yeah, like, I think that's a whole lot of like boy cried wolf kind of thing.
Right.
So, eventually people are going to stop listening to that nonsense. At least I hope they do.
Right.
That's a lot of nonsense going on over there. But, what was I got distracted. What was my other point? People are going to stop listening to that because you're just saying it over and over and over again. And the people aren't going to do the basic stuff
that they
should do
because it's not real.
Right.
Exactly.
Because it's not like
so dangerous.
Yeah. So then I'm going to be prepared for the temporary power outage.
Right.
That's just inconvenient more than anything else. And all their food in their fridge is going to spoil. And, they don't have a can of gas laying around for when the line at the gas station's wrapped around the block. If you've got the basics like that, you can avoid all the chaos. At the crazy gas station that you're trying to get the loaf of bread and people are fist fighting over it, you don't have to do that.
You ain't got to do it.
If you do the basics. You can just stay home. I don't care if the power goes out for 10 days. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like it. so I don't know. What was the topic of this video again?
Just don't be crazy. That's what it is. Don't be crazy.
Don't be nuts.
Yeah.
Don't be nuts. SHTF. The SHTF can come in a lot of forms.
Yeah, it can.
A lot of shapes, a lot of forms. That chicken's really annoying.
Hondo doesn't know what to think about
Hondo doesn't even like. Hondo's kind of the coolest dog ever.
Yeah.
He's very chillaxed. He doesn't even chase the chickens. I mean, come on. What a great dog. Yeah.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that can happen. But if all you do on the one hand is think about all of the world-ending things, you become just like any other, or stand to become just like any other false prophet who has talked about the end times happening next week. So let's go down and drink some Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while giving that message, like you said, you lose all of the good stuff, right?
Yeah, you miss out on a lot. Like,
Yeah.
if you live your life in a bunker,
Right.
because you think tomorrow's the day, like, you're just going to miss out on life and just in general, and that's sad to me. I mean, if you're happy doing that, then get it. Like, go for it. Rock on. Like, that's awesome. But I think that it's just I don't know, maybe a selfish, cowardice
Right.
way to live. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's get out and explore space. Yes.
Superman's not really brave.
Right. Yeah, he's got all the powers in
Right.
the world. If I have laser beam eyeballs,
Yeah, I'd do anything.
I'm not afraid of anything
Right.
either. If I could lift the world. But
On the other hand, if your head's in the sand,
Yeah.
it's like the exact polar opposite, right? Like you said, you're not gonna think about anything or do anything.
live your life, man. Like be prepared. Do the basics. Have some little food set aside. Learn how to use a gun. Be physically fit and healthy.
Yeah.
But then live your life.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about what could happen. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen right now. Like,
Right.
there could be an asteroid, like, zipping through the atmosphere right now, just about to squish us. Who cares?
Right.
Like, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
If the EMP strikes tomorrow, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I'm a barbecue grill.
I'm just saying, like, just live your, like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, live your life. Don't live in fear. Like, just, I mean, you could encounter somebody that needs a tourniquet tomorrow, but you don't have a tourniquet on you because you weren't 100% prepared for every situation all the time. Yes, life happens, and that's just the way it goes.
So it sounds like you may need some more small unit training.
Some small unit tactics.
You need some SUT.
Some SUT.
To learn more about SUT, click this video.
Oh, I see what you did there. Where's it going to be? Right here?
Well, will I even remember? Team, I appreciate you guys. Jason, man, it's always good to chew the fat with you.
Absolutely.
Make sure you leave some comments and do all the things. And until then, you stay out there. You keep grinding.
You stay saucy.
Stay saucy. Stoked.
Oh, so close.
Right on. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date with future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.
We know you're out there! Come to my voice!